Hello everyone, welcome to this month's special collection spotlight session. So the spotlight session for May is going to be talking about this chap here, because our spotlight this month is on treasures of the James Ward collection, and this is Mr. James Ward. Now, James Ward was born in Nottingham in 1851 and lived here until his death in 1927. As a child, he attended Cleveland House Academy in Nottingham and was then apprenticed to his father's business. His father was a bootmaker in the city. Throughout his life, however, he was also very active in the Nottingham social and intellectual life. For example, he was a member of the Derby Road Baptist Church from 1871 onwards and became librarian of the school there from 1883 to 1899. He was also a founder member of the Thoroton Society, which was formed in 1897, and he was active in both the Nottingham Mechanics' Institute and at the Nottingham Castle Art Museum. He was a member of Bromley House Library from April 1906 to December 1918. Over the course of his life, he built up a reputation as a bibliophile and bibliographic researcher, and this reputation wasn't just in the local area, he had a national reputation in this area. He also seems to have had a wide range of interests. He donated various books to Bromley House Library from 1899 onwards, but he made his major donation in 1914 when he gave us all of his local history books, and these have been kept together within the library as the James Ward collection. They were previously in a cabinet in the Standfast room, but they're now on the shelves to the left of the fireplace in the Thoroton room. This portrait here was painted by Harold Knight in 1902, so James Ward would have been maybe about 50 or 51 at the time that the portrait was painted. The portrait is described as James Ward of Nottingham in a library, and you can see vaguely that there are books in the background of the portrait. It has been suggested that potentially these are books in Bromley House, and that maybe this was the setting for this portrait, although we can't be certain. The James Ward collection provides an excellent range of books, and they give an insight into the range of James Ward's interests. The collection is fascinating, but it is also unique because James Ward had a habit of scrapbooking. In other words, he would collect together correspondence and newspaper cuttings and interesting things that he'd received, and he would keep them in bound volumes. So the first book that I want to show to you today is one of these scrapbooks. So this book here is the first book we shall be looking at. So you can see it's a book very nicely bound with a lot of blank pages in it. And on the pages at the front of the book, James Ward has gathered together and stuck various items which either he has received or he has been in some way associated with. Now, this particular volume covers his work with the Thoroton Society from 1898 to 1906, and then a bit of work with the Mechanics' Institute in 1912 and 1915. So the period covered by the items from the Thoroton Society is the very early period in the history of that society. So the Thoroton Society is Nottingham's local history society, which is still going strong today, and they do research and produce publications based around various aspects of local history. The Society was formed in 1897, and in 1898 they held their first exhibition, and the items at the beginning of this book here are related to that exhibition. So there are various articles in here, and a lot of them are things which were sent out by the Thoroton Society to various people. So, for instance, this particular first item is it's a form which was sent out to people asking whether they would be willing to loan objects or paintings for the Thoroton Society's upcoming exhibition. And you can see that it's empty, it hasn't been filled in. And a lot of these early pieces are like this. They are examples of letters that haven't been completed. So what this seems to be is samples of the things which the Thoroton Society was sending out whilst they were planning this first exhibition. And further on in the booklet, we get newspaper cuttings about that exhibition. And in these newspaper cuttings, it becomes clear that James Ward was one of the people on the committee for organising the exhibition. So it seems as though he has been gathering these together as a kind of administrative file, administrative history of the society. Now, this particular newspaper cutting gives examples of some of the things which were loaned to this first exhibition, and it includes a comment about the things which James Ward himself loaned to the exhibition. So it says James Ward contributes several interesting engraved portraits, such as those of Erasmus Darwin, Henry Kirke White and the Reverend Edmund Cartwright, DD, Mr John Chaworth Musters and others. So this gives us an indication of the sorts of items that James Ward had in his own personal collection and that he was willing to lend to the Thoroton Society for their exhibition. The booklet goes on to give examples of other exhibitions that the Thoroton Society had held, and then has some information about similar things that the Mechanics Institute was doing. It starts with the exhibition the Mechanics Institute organised in 1912 for their 75th anniversary, and includes things such as this rather nice programme for the opening event of the exhibition that they held, with details of the people who would be speaking and the choirs and bands that would be playing. And it also has information about the exhibition that the Mechanics Institute put on in 1915 of items related to Byron, the poet, some of which I spoke about in the last Special Collections spotlight session last month.